What's going on YouTube? This is Dottie with Ignite Cinemas, and today I am finally doing a tutorial on my coloring process using Final Cut Pro 10. Let's get it! Yes. Ever since I started this Ignite Cinemas YouTube channel, I've always said I was going to break down how to color grade and things like that. Well, today it's finally happening in 2019. Thank you for your patience. And welcome everybody. So I'm going to be showing you my coloring process using Final Cut Pro 10. I have a real simple process. I don't really use LUTs. On occasion I might do it, but I do everything hands-on in Final Cut. I don't use any other DaVinci or anything. I'm real simple. I keep it stupid simple. Kiss baby. And I'm going to show you what I got going on. So today I'm going to be color grading some clients footage I have in a wide variety so you can see the differences. We got an outside shot at the hospital. Then I have my buddy Coach Rock from I Love Basketball shooting the ball. This was also indoors. This is in a wedding venue. Then this was in an office space for my friend Dan. And this is a scene from Angie. So I want to give you guys a variety of different scenes, okay? I use adjustment layers and sometimes I don't. So I'm going to mix that up as well too. I have a video, if you click this card, on how to get an adjustment layer. First things first. So here's my scene. I filmed it on my GH5. I shot it at 4K. And I usually come over here to view and look at video scopes. And there's three things here called histogram, vector scope, and waveform. Waveform is this guy right here. And this is what I use first, so I make sure that my highlights aren't blown out and my darks aren't crushed. So if we go over here, I select the scene. I use Command 6. It's a shortcut to get to this guy right here. And this is your wheel. So we have color, saturation, and exposure. When we have this waveform right here, we're gonna work on exposure first. So this is what I do first. So I bump the highlights up, and then I don't like to go past 100. If we go past 100, yeah, you see it looks blown out, and that's not what we want. So I try to get up there, right here. That looks about right. And then I'm gonna crush some of the blacks, about right there. I don't want to go below this, okay? Then I'll knock down the saturation. Cool. And that's a fairly good looking exposed image. And I come right here, look at the vector scope. Now I can go over here to the right to saturation, and you can see the colors get brighter and then they're saturated. So that's what this is for. This is mainly for like skin tones and stuff. If you go over this little line right here, that's when the skin tones get messed up. I don't know entirely the specifics. All I know is I've rarely used this vector scope. But since we're talking about saturation, I'm gonna knock it down a little bit like that. The main one right here is the histogram. And this is telling you if it's white balanced correctly. Now, I set my white balance on automatic, so it wasn't really truly dialed in. As you can see, there's blues here. If I wanted to fix that, I would come over here to the color board, and you have the master, the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights. I usually mess around with the midtones. So you're gonna grab and drop, and you can move it accordingly. You see what happens when you start moving it around, right? You can really alter the whole image. Move it around, try to balance it as much as possible. I don't really mess with these knobs so much. I don't have a set thing on explaining how to. Really, I eyeball everything. And that's why I wanted to name this tutorial the coloring process, how I color. As you can see, I'm still not at a perfect white balance, but I like the way this looks. It looks clean, it looks smooth. I can live with this. Now I'm gonna sharpen it up so you guys can experiment here. That's the beauty in coloring. Like, it's like coloring in a coloring book. You guys have the freedom to do whatever you want. One thing I love about Final Cut 10.4 and up is they have something called color curves, and this is the extra spice I add to all my coloring, especially with this Luma. The Luma is the overall quality of the picture. I use a lot of VS Cocam app on my iPhone, so like I like this fade right here. So what I tend to do is first we're gonna make an S curve, and an S curve is pretty much exactly how it sounds. So we're gonna click on one, we're gonna add a point, then we're gonna click one down here. So we got 2 points. On the top one, we're gonna move up. Bottom one, we're gonna move down. So as you can see, it's like a little S, right? You can adjust accordingly. Then this way, we add the fade. Now that's too much fade. You see, I just dragged up. That's too much fade. You just want a little fade. Get a little faded real quick. Spice it up. Before, after. It adds that extra into the coloring. I actually like the way this looks. I'll probably knock the exposure down a little bit. Oh, that looks real good to me. One other thing I want to point out is the color wheels. Now, I don't personally use these color wheels. They have been added to Final Cut Pro 10. I'm old school, as you can see, but you guys can do the same thing I did earlier with these. You got highlights, midtone, shadows, master. Right over here, where it's black and white, you can control the shadows. Reset that. Over here on the left is coloring, saturation. You guys can do that here. Also, what I like here is you guys can adjust the temperature from outdoors and indoors, and you can adjust accordingly. You can make it cooler, you can make it hotter. I'm gonna keep it as is. I'm good, and I would be happy with this right here. So this is the after, before, after, before, after. All right, now let's move to the next scene. Coloring process. This time I'm gonna use an adjustment layer, and if you click above on this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to download the adjustment layer so you guys can implement it. And you would come over here to titles, and you see this right here, we drag it on top. It looks like it will be like a font, but it's not. It's an adjustment layer. And the good thing about these is, like, when you're editing like big projects, and like for me, like vlogs, there's so many pieces, there's so many scenes, and it could get confusing. It could get confusing real quick. Adjustment layers literally go on top, and you do a color correction within it. So instead of doing it from a scene, you click up top, and this is how we're gonna adjust the color. So let's get it. Again, select the adjustment layer, hit Command 6, and here we go. As you can see, we have a waveform. We're gonna knock it down a little bit, boost the highs, the highlights, and this gem is really well lit. I love this gem actually. A lot of LED lights. Vector scope's good. What I'll do is I'll probably knock down some of the saturation. I'll probably knock down some of the midtones right here. And I'm literally eyeballing it. So I'm moving the midtones up from the blues to add a little coolness to it. And come back. It's all in your eyeball. Do what you feel. There's no set perfect way to color. Like, I've seen a lot of tutorials with it. Everything's like machine wise. Like, I get it and understand it, but the way I've been doing it for the past 8 years is eyeballing it and learning as I go, and that's my process. And hopefully it's your process too. This is what makes you unique. I like the way that looks right there. And then we're gonna add the special sauce right here. Add in that little dab of flare. Yeah, that looks cool right there. I like the way that looks. So you guys are kind of understanding how it's going in the process. Let's keep it moving. One thing I like to do is, if I'm doing the same scene, I come up here. Here's a little midway hack. I copy it and then paste effects. Now, obviously those effects from here, this is an outdoor scene compared to an indoor scene, it won't work. But if it were all in a timeline and they were all a part of a project, that's a hack for you to speed things up. Now on this one, let's start from scratch again. So the highs are a little too high. We're gonna knock that down. Drop the shadows. And we can raise that on up. like so. Saturation, could knock that down, raise it on up. Yup, this is actually white balance to perfection. Let me see, let me go to the board. No, that's not what I wanted to do. JK, delete that. We're gonna add some curves, and I'm gonna adjust the midtones. I'm gonna play around with the shadows. I'm not gonna get too crazy on them. And do that. Let me see what we got going on. This down a little bit. Before, after. Before, after. I like the way that looks. Let's do an adjustment layer. So I like to do another, I'm all about quick and easy. So I'm hit Command C, copy this adjustment layer over here, Command V, and we copied it, right? Now on this one, we got a color board here. We're gonna knock down the exposure, it's a little too high. Bump up the midtones. Knock this down a little bit. Play with the saturation. I want to actually get them colors to pop a little more. I don't want it too saturated. Knock this down, get his skin tone right here. And this is when you come over here to view and go to vector scope, and you'll see where his complexion is. You don't want everything blaring out into this zone. Looks like Stranger Things, that big thing. You don't want that. You want to keep it small like this, and you want to see the yellows over that line, the reds over here. That's how you know you're on the right path, especially with skin tones. Now the beauty is, since we copied the adjustment layer from that one, we're pretty much just reworking it. The curves look great. On, wait, off, on, off, on. I don't know. I like the way it looks. You guys do your thing, and voila. Once you get in the groove of things, you know, and find your own style, this will become super easy for you. And that's the purpose of this tutorial and this process, letting you know you guys are right. And this is the last one. We'll hit Command 6, go over to waveform, drop that down. I love the way this purple pops. It's okay to have a little few appear over that 100 screen. Drop that down. Excuse me. Saturation. I gotta go pick up my kids soon. All right. The dedication is real. And then we're gonna add curves. Boom. Now it's S time. 1, 2. Boost it up. Not that much. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Woo! That's fire. Before, after. Before, after. And that's the coloring process made easy for anyone using Final Cut Pro 10. I didn't want to get too in depth. I wanted to keep it basic for you guys. If this coloring process tutorial was helpful, please smash that like button. If you want to see more Final Cut Pro 10 tutorials, as well as unboxings, reviews, and some other filmmaking tips and tricks, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. And as always, don't forget to ignite. See ya.